Friday, January 28th, 1977, Ohio stopped. Cold. The state was in the grip of the coldest winter in its history. The gas company had sold off its excess gas months earlier and no longer had enough to go around. When the snow came, it was too much. Everything stopped, almost literally frozen in its tracks. The scope of the emergency became obvious early in the day, and the WBNS TV Eyewitness News staff reacted immediately with live on-location cut-ins, utilizing this station's mini-cams. Our two early evening newscasts were consolidated into a continuous hour to provide better coverage.
This is Eyewitness News with Lee Velicities and the sports, Joe Holbrook and the weather, and Lou Forrest with the news.
Good evening. Lou Forrest is off tonight. I'm Roy Briscoe. We'll be on the air for the next hour, and we'll be reporting on the one thing everyone is talking about and deeply concerned about, the energy crisis.
That newscast concentrated on the immediate issues. What was going to happen to the schools?
The State Senate and House leaders today announced a plan to help Ohio schools get through the energy crisis. House Speaker Vern Rife and President Pro Tem of the Senate Oliver O'Kasich told newsmen today they will present a bill to the legislature next week that will reduce the number of days students must be in school, and under that plan, schools can close for 15 calamity days due to the energy crisis without having to make up those days at the end of the year. This is in addition to the 5 calamity days they already can take due to bad weather.
And we hope that this will solve their problem. Many school districts have asked, and on the phone to the Department of Education and also to our office or to the center's office, as to what will happen with the days, as to whether that they have to close because of the energy crisis.
What I mean largely is that we probably close school for 1 month, possibly move the spring vacation that was scheduled in April into the period where we're closed, so that students would in effect miss 3 weeks of school, then would have a massive community-wide education program, which a lot of the initiative for education would rest with the student and with the parent, and that's not all bad. And as a result, they're not going to lose as much as you might think. Now, it's not going to be just exactly like school, but education is what you make of it.
Would we have enough gas to get through the next few days, and then through the winter?
Robert Roll, district manager for Columbia Gas, is in his office. And Mr. Roll, is there a chance that some homes may be without gas?
Roy, there's always a chance that some may be, but as of this moment, it's kind of, well, at least it's less nerve-wracking to say that we are holding our own presently. Evidently, our appeal to our customers to conserve and to our businesses to shut down or cut back have paid off, because right at the way we sit now with the temperatures where they are, we are in no position to say we're going to have to turn someone off. Individual residents may have a bit of a problem, but it's a local one, and we're standing by, waiting to take care of those people. So, if the weather stays where it's at, and the people keep doing what they're doing, we may be able to report that type of a situation every day now for the next 3 or 4 or however long this is going to be with us.
What was happening with the alternative fuels?
There was a traffic jam in front of the Murray City Coal and Ice Company late this morning as Central Ohioans scrambled for the last of the coal. The company owners first let everyone buy as much as they wanted, then cut them down to 5 bushels, then 3 bushels. A number of people who'd never used coal before found the gas crisis suddenly real, in a way they'd never expected.
My boss and his friends are going to burn their fireplace.
Where are they going to do that?
They're afraid they're going to run out of gas.
How much coal are you getting?
Maximum they'll sell me, 3 bushels.
Why are you buying coal today?
Well, just in case we run out of gas. I got 2 fireplaces. I hope it can keep me warm.
How long do you think 3 bushels will last you?
Not very long. But long enough, I hope.
What do you think of the cold winter?
I don't like it. What can you do about it?
The Boardman family has been in the coal business for 4 generations, and Jim Boardman says he's never seen a winter like this. They've sold more than 200 tons of coal this year, more than the last 2 years combined. But it's a mixed blessing. While he could sell all he can get, he can't get it.
Business has been fantastic. We just can't take care of everybody that wants to buy coal for their fireplaces.
Why is it so hard for you to fill all these orders?
We can't really get the supply of coal that is necessary for us to be able to supply everybody. The mines are frozen and some of them are down, the roads are bad, the rails are just about 30 to 40% of where they should be because they can't move either.
What are you going to do when you run out of coal?
We just have to shut off and hope we get some more in.
While we were there, the last shipment of coal arrived, and it was sold in a few hours. Marcy Goulder, Eyewitness News.
What about electric power? What about the possibility of an electric shortage? Well, with Tom Ryan now in the studio is Richard Rederer of the Columbus and Southern Ohio Electric Company to discuss that problem. Gentlemen?
I think I'm bearer of good tidings tonight. From a generation standpoint, all of our generation is up. We have no transmission difficulties. Our distribution system is normal. And other than for some localized scattered outages, which is a normal activity in our type of business, we've experienced no unusual difficulties.
What should you do to protect your house if we should run out of gas?
If gas pressure gets too low, the gas company may have to shut off service to some outlying areas. If that happens in your neighborhood, the first thing you should do is turn off the gas at the meter. Some meters are outside, others are in the basement. When the stop is perpendicular to the pipe, it is off. Then make sure you shut off the gas to each gas appliance, clothes dryers, kitchen range, and so forth. Again, just a simple turn of the valve. It's also important to turn off your furnace, both the main valve and the tiny pilot valve next to it. And don't forget to shut off gas to the water heater. Servicemen will be around to make sure the gas is off, but it's a good idea not to wait for them.
In case that there is a outage or where the gas has to be shut off, the gas company will be notifying going to each house and shutting off the gas, contacting the customer and shutting off the gas. Ourselves, our servicemen, will be shutting off the gas. But this is just for safety to make sure that the gas is off and there is no potential danger.
Once the emergency is over, a serviceman will be out to turn the gas back on and relight your appliances. If your gas is off 4 or 5 days, you will also need to drain all water lines and the hot water tank. But the gas company says if gas must be shut off, it probably won't be for more than a day at a time. Marlyn Singleton, Eyewitness News.
Yeah, let's go over the several steps to protect your home. Number 1, turn off the main valve in front of the gas meter. 2, at least turn off gas to the water heaters and space heaters. 3, open all faucets, especially in the basement. Also, take off washing machine hoses. 4, open the faucet on the side of the water heater and drain the tank. 5, flush all toilets. 6, pour something like windshield washer into the tank at the back of the toilet and into every drain, including any floor drains. And if you have any questions, call 461-6660. 461-6660.
What happened to friends and relatives caught traveling?
Things are running pretty close to normal out here at Port Columbus. Allegheny Airlines have shut down their counter completely, no incoming or outgoing flights. Several of the other airlines have canceled flights. Now, it's not a question of getting off the ground out here at Port Columbus. Crews have been out on the runways cleaning off snow since early this morning. It's a question of where you're going. Cleveland Airport has shut down completely, and they're having problems with connecting flights at other airports. So before you come out here, you ought to check by phone, otherwise you might be making a round trip. Now, as far as land travel is concerned, we have a report from Chuck Ely at the bus station.
Thank you, Paul. Things aren't going as well for people using commercial bus lines. Almost all routes to the northwest and northeast have been canceled. Detroit, Toledo, Findlay, and surrounding areas are completely closed down. Interstate 71 is open to Cleveland, but Akron, Canton, Youngstown, and Worcester are closed. Many other local runs are also not operating. Areas like Washington Courthouse and Marion are without service. Buses at the terminal must be left running to protect them from the biting cold. Despite the high winds and drifting snow, traffic to the east and west of Columbus is still moving normally. That includes Dayton, Cincinnati, Zanesville, and the West Virginia runs. Many of the passengers stranded at the Columbus terminal are resigned to their fate. They don't like it, but there's not much they can do.
I tried to go home this weekend, but I don't think I'm going to make it.
How do you feel about being stuck in Columbus, Ohio?
It's not the most exciting place to be stuck in, especially the bus station.
I'd like to get out of here tonight, but I guess the snow's too bad. And
I guess I'll have to stay here tonight.
You don't like our bus station?
Oh, I like the bus station, but what can I do? Can't get to Akron. Can't get nowhere.
The only thing certain about the highway situation is that it's changing rapidly. If you're scheduled for a trip, keep in touch with the terminal. Now Angela Shelley has a look at the local transportation situation.
It was the busiest noon ever for COTA bus service. One official said it seemed more like the regular evening rush. Nearly 100 extra buses and off-duty drivers accommodated workers anxious to beat the Arctic air home. By early afternoon, streets were deserted. Service will continue, although some streets in outlying residential areas may not be passable. COTA warns some commuters may end up walking the remaining distance home. Cabs were still very much in evidence, mainly going on calls to pick up stranded motorists. At one cab company, additional dispatchers were called in, but the weekend business is expected to be slow. How is business today?
Oh, rough. Good. We're taking care of everyone.
Yeah. Did you notice you were busier than usual?
Slightly more, because businesses are closed down and with people getting home and so forth.
Did you have a lot of breakdowns or cabs and drifts and things like that?
We've had several, especially in the outlying areas where there's no buildings to stop, where the snow drifts come up. We got one right now in Marysville that's broke down. We're trying to get it to a railroad cab.
Vacant downtown streets offer silent testimony to the fact that most motorists and riders of buses and cabs plan a weekend of staying put. Angela Shelley, Eyewitness News.
And what was being done to help those people in trouble in the coming days?
Washington courthouse is a go, so will you go upstairs and notify Gus that those people have been pulled out, okay? Yeah, they've been put on state active duty. Okay.
Members of the Disaster Services Agency and the National Guard have been working steadily since Governor James Rhodes declared the crisis. Mayors from around Ohio call the governor's office when emergencies arise, and he sends guardsmen to help. Some are pulling motorists from snowdrifts, taking stranded medical personnel to hospitals, and working with the Red Cross to set up shelters for those who have no heat. Guardsmen have been working on their motor vehicles to make sure everything's in running order, so they can respond on a moment's notice. Major General James Clem has been meeting with the governor to prepare for the alert.
Actually, we move as many people into alert situations as are needed. We normally notify key personnel around the state to stand by, and as situations arise which require our assistance, people are assigned, and the local unit calls out the number of people and the amount of equipment that is required to answer the situation.
The last time the guardsmen were activated in any large numbers was during the Xenia tornado. What worries them now is that the gas crisis may trigger another crisis in other fuels. For as the gas runs out, there's a greater drain on other energy sources. If it comes to that, they're not sure what they'll do. But for the moment, it's all work and no play. Like other events this weekend, their big dance has been canceled. Marcy Goulder, Eyewitness News.
We used every technique available to us, film and tape packages.
Ed Ross, Eyewitness News.
Paul Thompson, Eyewitness News.
Things are running pretty close to normal out here at Port Columbus.
Angela Shelley, Eyewitness News.
Live remotes.
Roy, that's the situation from the governor's office. They'll be working most of the night. I noticed some cots were being assembled back there. This is Paul Thompson, Eyewitness News, live with the Rabbit Cam.
Mr. Roll, I know you've been asked this over and over again, but why wasn't the gas company prepared for this emergency?
No gas company anywhere could be prepared for a record-breaking season that has been as worse than has ever been known for as long as records have been known. It's economically unsound to build a system that would cover a situation as extreme as we have now. Besides, we couldn't afford it.
Thank you, Mr. Roll. Thank you for being with us this evening.
Live in-studio interviews.
Congressman, first of all, what's going to happen? Are we going to see some action out of Washington, and if so, when?
Yes, we are. The Carter administration's emergency gas proposal came up last Thursday. We were in hearings today in the Interstate and Foreign Commerce Committee, of which I'm not a member, but we are going to take it up in the House on Tuesday. I think it will pass the House and the Senate early next week, and that the President then will then sign it.
Thank you, Roy. Al, I would imagine they're just about driving you crazy with requests right now. What exactly is United Way involved in? What are your needs?
Tom, I think that our biggest need right now is centers around a food problem. You know, strangely enough, this has generated a real crisis in the food area. A number of senior citizens, a number of disabled people are not able to get to the stores, or able to get food stamps and so forth. So what we've done is we've asked 10 of our neighborhood agencies, settlement houses, to open up for the whole weekend. And they're going to be open up from 9 to 6 on Saturday and on Sunday. At the same time, we're keeping our operation up and open for the whole 24-hour period through the weekend.
And character generator information on closings to give our viewers as complete a picture as possible. Those efforts began several weeks before the day Ohio stopped, as the cold weather deepened and the gas crisis became more severe. A series on insulating your house.
I'm doing a study of home heating to see if following energy-saving rules is really worthwhile. Home experts agree that most heat is lost through the attic. Today, I'll show you how to insulate. Insulating materials have an ability to trap the movement of air. That resistance is called the R factor. How thick should your insulation be? If you have 2 inches existing, add 4 more, and that's an R factor of 19, what you should have in this part of the country. Measure the length times the width of the attic and convert to square feet. The average attic is 1,000 to 1,200 square feet.
Joe, the type of insulation that you're talking about will run you approximately 15 cents a square foot or $180.
Wear long sleeves and gloves and carry bundles into the attic before you open because they expand. Be sure you have a board big enough to stand on or sit on. You'll end up in the living room if you try to walk on the ceiling. Cut lengths to the width of the attic. Place a board, hold it with your foot, and cut with a utility knife. If you have no existing insulation, use the kind with paper or foil, which is placed toward the warmth. Over insulation, use the unfaced kind. There is a better way. This is the pour-in type, vermiculite. Hold the sack, strike it with the knife, then level with a board or rake. Vermiculite is easier to install, no body irritation, forms around hard-to-get areas, won't burn, won't settle, and doesn't pick up moisture from the air. But it does cost more.
Yes, Joe, the vermiculite will run you approximately 20 cents a square foot, or on a 1,200 square foot attic, you're talking $240.
You can combine the two. Use fiberglass for the main job, vermiculite for the tough areas.
Well, maybe you really don't want to do it yourself. I checked with an insulating company, and if you would like a contract job, it would cost you to have blown-in fiberglass approximately $100 more than your do-it-yourself. The vermiculite is mostly a do-it-yourself job, and if you want that done, it's going to cost you several hundred more dollars.
The Ohio Energy Office is making this valuable book available to tell you in detail how to insulate and how to do many other jobs. If you'd like a free copy, write Home Book, Joe Holbrook, WBNS-TV, Columbus, Ohio, 43216.
Now you know the cost of the insulation. First, you have to figure out what kind of insulation you need and how much. After that, remember that you can save up to 20% on your fuel bill from insulating the attic. This is approximately $10 on our theoretical $50 fuel bill a month.
Next, our caulk and weather strip.
Spot stories on hardships created by the crisis. Investigations into complaints that some people were wasting natural gas.
In this garage at the State Department of Transportation, 2 gas heaters struggle to keep cars cozy and to fight against the cold air caused by a garage door that stays open all day long.
Continuous monitoring of the situation with the gas company.
We honestly believe that we are not in a crisis situation. We are in a very strong and unfavorable supply problem. And we are working through our curtailment schedules and with individual customers, and we feel that things can be handled. We were asking everyone to help us conserve, that everyone who even isn't directly affected consider conservation so that we can keep this from becoming a crisis.
Research on extracting shale gas.
Well, there basically are 2 problems. One is the economics. We know there's gas down there. We have the question of whether it can be gotten out of the ground at an economic cost, a cost that will meet the market price for gas today.
Snyder says he's optimistic about the development of shale gas, but he says realistically it'll be at least about 5 years yet before shale gas can be expected to make a significant contribution to help fighting the energy problem. Ed Ross, Eyewitness News, at the Battelle Memorial Institute.
Emergency meetings with politicians looking for answers.
Tanks are empty. It's just a matter of getting...
There's nothing here except help us. Not me as governor, not members of the state representatives, and not state senators, but the people who want to help in solving this problem.
And finally, live coverage of the governor's meeting in which he declared a state of emergency.
Now back to Marlon Singleton at the governor's office.
20 days, and that's not possible, so the speaker will have a statement tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Roy, Senator Kasich has just been speaking about the schools. He said that they will have a statement tomorrow at 2 o'clock concerning possible legislation for the schools, whether or not to shorten the school year. Nothing is definite at this moment. They will have a statement on that tomorrow. Now, House Speaker Vernon Rife is speaking.
30 days, whatever it may be, waived in order that it's for the best interests of the school children of Ohio and also for the best interests of the people. And this is something that we all have to take into consideration from the standpoint of when the students are out of school, when the children are out of school, dad and mother might have to be home with them, and it involves unemployment compensation. A lot of things are under consideration. As Senator Kasich has stated, by tomorrow afternoon, no later than 2 o'clock, we hope to have our recommendations that we will make to the General Assembly next week.
I might add that on 1 o'clock Saturday, we've invited governors from 7 of the coal-producing states to meet here. And we hope that we can have a program that we can recommend to the present administration concerning energy. And one of these will be that the national energy agencies and the National Environmental Agency must be placed under one head to ensure cooperation and coordination on national problems and national disasters. A strong federal EPA has been pursuing their goals at any cost in energy or expense, while dividing energy agencies have failed to provide the answers to EPA. And we'd like to Saturday here at 1 o'clock try to formulate some program in the coal-producing states that we can find some answers to some of these problems.
Governor Rhodes speaking live from the State House with our Rapid Cam crew.
The next day, Ohio stopped, and the coverage turned from the crisis to survival.
Our stove quit working and we didn't have no heat or anything.
How'd you get here?
The helicopter brought us.
Any idea how long you're going to be here?
No, till they can get the roads cleared so they can bring fuel, bring our fuel oil. We've bought it and stuff, but they just can't get it down there.
There are some 900 frozen barges in the Ohio River, effectively stopping shipments of coal and fuel oil and road salt, all the things we need to keep warm and keep moving. Columbus School Board voted unanimously today to close schools as of February the 7th, and that will go through the 25th. But they don't plan for students or teachers to be idle.
The program's called Schools Without Schools, and it's really the only way to wiggle out of the vice-like grip of the energy crunch. Superintendent Ellis claims the program will be the most dramatic educational effort in the country. Students will attend classes 1 day a week in one of 30 non-gas heated schools. There they'll be given week-long assignments. Additional instruction will be provided by local media.
This will depend on the creativity of the teachers and the principals. It will require patience, a sense of humor, and the ability to adjust at a moment's notice.
And with the closing of schools, WBNS-TV stopped just covering the news and started to pitch in and help. Answering a plea for help from Columbus school officials, WBNS-TV offered 4 hours of morning programming time for the schools to use as a sort of school of the air for the duration of the crisis. The school administration reacted quickly. Teachers volunteered to teach classes on television. And suddenly, a great experiment in education was underway. We called it School Without Schools. The station's full resources were thrown into the experiment. Teachers whose only contact with television had been as viewers dug deeply into their imaginations to satisfy the insatiable appetite of the camera and also the children on the other side of the camera.
It was a new experience, a first for nearly 100 Columbus area teachers, the beginning of their electronic teaching careers. Considering the short amount of time the teachers had to prepare for the opening of School Without Schools, they still managed to turn out a polished professional product. Radio and television officials say the effort is going as smooth as silk. While the teachers were on one side of the television cameras and radio microphones, students were on the other side. Mr. and Mrs. Noah Skaggs have 4 children. The youngest is in kindergarten, the oldest is in the 9th grade. For them, like thousands of other school children here in Columbus, it was school in the comfort of their own living room.
I think it's needed. You really learn a lot instead of, it's just like teaching one person really instead of the whole class. And you don't have people talking around you.
Mrs. Skaggs says, from a parent's point of view, she's confident the School Without Schools program will be a success.
Before the fact instead of after.
Oh, it went real well, I think. They're taking it real good. They seem excited about it, and I'm kind of excited about it, getting to help them. I haven't got to help them much since they were little, so I think they'll learn a lot.
School officials say there were some minor scheduling problems, but they were taken care of in short order, and things are perking along better than expected. Ed Ross, Eyewitness News.
Welcome back to Winter School. This is Senior High Grammar and Composition. Our teachers today are Marilyn Ridgway and Kathy Parks, and today Easy Ryder learns how to organize his closet and his mind. Classification provides him with the system, and his wallet provides the material.
Well, Mom said I can't go to the hop unless I organize my closet. You want to help?
Sure, Easy. We can use classification. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's also a pattern of organization that you use in writing, so this provides the material for us. What we're going to be doing today is classifying your shoes in various categories. Let's look at them first. There are lots of ways we could classify them. First of all, we could classify them as far as color is concerned. Secondly, we could classify them as far as use is concerned, or perhaps as far as style is concerned. What we're going to do today is classify them as far as the way you use them. Let's look at them. First of all, we have dress shoes. We could put them all in one category. Let's look at some of the characteristics of your dress shoes. They're stiff, they're polished, they're stylish, and you might wear these to church, to the prom, or to the theater, perhaps. Secondly, let's look at your sports shoes. We have various kinds of sports shoes here. These have a variety of uses. They're scuffed and worn. They have various kinds of soles and various kinds of styles. The styles perhaps suit the purpose for which you're going to use them. You might use them for playing volleyball, playing softball, or walking along the beach. Third, we've got your school shoes. Your school shoes have chalk dust on them, and they're worn, and your school shoes tie, unlike your other shoes. You probably wear these to school or maybe to the after-school hop at Dino's.
Hey, like I used that kind of classification just the other day in my wallet. Classified all my checks. Hey, dig this.
I can see that you have quite a collection here, Easy. And you're right, you have used classification. But if you're going to use classification, you have to use 3 different adjectives to help you classify. A classification must be complete. That is, every girl that you date must fit into some subclass. It has to be discrete. Any girl that you date can only fit into one subclass, and she couldn't overlap into 2 classes. And it must be consistent. Are you assigning the girls to a class only on one basis? Let's take a look at Easy's girlfriends. Here's Lucinda. Now, if we were going to write a paper of illustration, we could probably use each one of the photographs I found in Easy's wallet and use them simply as examples. But since we're talking about classification today, we're going to use each one of these types of girls and make them into a subclass. In other words, she's going to represent a whole class of girls. If we were going to do this in a paragraph, we would want to organize our paragraph like this. First of all, we've got to give Lucinda a class name, something that we can recognize her above and beyond just herself as Lucinda. So let's call Lucinda as her class name and not as the individual that she is, Luscious Lucinda. That may better describe for the reader what we're talking about when we're talking about a girl like Lucinda. If we were going to organize this into a paragraph then, we would first want to list the characteristics of the class so that a reader would know the qualifications that a girl must have to be in the same class as Lucinda. This type of girl, as Luscious Lucinda, would need to wear Angora sweaters, wear tight skirts with kick pleats, wear lots of makeup, she must giggle and flirt, and she'll probably be found in dark places like theaters, corners, and back seats of cars. Now, after we have listed the characteristics, we have to go one step further. We want to see Lucinda in action, so to speak. So we have to give an example of the type of date you might have with Lucinda. So we're going to actually show an example of an actual date, where you would go, what you might be doing, what time you're going to get home in this paragraph with Lucinda. So you can see classification is relatively close to illustration. But we need more than one class if we're going to be talking about different types of dates. And there are, of course, other girls besides people like Luscious Lucinda. So if we look at Easy's wallets again, we might find another girl in his wallet, and this girl might be Betty Lou. Now, Betty Lou is a different type of girl than Luscious Lucinda, as her picture might show you. And if we were going to organize a paragraph about Betty Bebop here, and that's what we'd call Betty Lou because we're going to expand it to a class here, we need a topic sentence. Our topic sentence here might be Betty Bebop brings out the best in me. Again, we list the characteristics. She bubbles, she has school spirit, she's popular, she's the secretary of student council, she wears school colors on Fridays. And again, we want to give an example of a date with Betty Lou, in this case Betty Bebop, since we're going to be talking about a broader classification. Any girl that would fit into this category would have to fit all those characteristics then. Classification, usually we want to break it down into at least 3 classes, just like illustration where we wanted to have 3 examples. In classification, you usually want to have more than just 2 classes. Otherwise, you probably could use the pattern comparison and contrast, where you're simply comparing the 2. You probably have noticed that you might be sitting home comparing Betty Lou to Lucinda. But we want to go on to a 3rd type in classification, where you have more than just 2 breakdowns. And we might have another type of girl, the kind that your mother likes. This might be Mary Ann Modest, if we're going to put her into a classification. Now, I know that you're sitting at home saying that these are stereotypes, and that's not a very nice thing to do to people. We are here simply giving general characteristics so that you can fit people into these general characteristics.
We're here to make some posters. So the best way to start is let's start talking about what you think makes a poster exciting. How about you, Irving? What do you think makes a poster exciting?
Pictures, pictures,
Pictures. Pictures. Okay, it means you could draw pictures, you could take pictures out of a magazine, you could do things like this. To me, other things make a poster exciting. Things such as color. You could use bright colors, big shapes of colors, small shapes, you could repeat colors. Words you select are very important as well, because words will do something to your poster. And when you do a poster, remember some things. Keep it simple, almost as if Irving was flying across Lake Erie and he saw your poster somewhere and he came and stopped somewhere and came back again and came back to see your poster. So don't try to put everything in your poster. Do something that will get someone's attention, maybe a big shape or a color or something. The other thing is plan your paper. Don't just close your eyes and put anything anywhere. Think about where you're going to place things on your paper. And when you use words like buttery, crunchy, delicious, words that will make your mouth water.
All right, well, if we take this word, turn, and we put ED at the end, we get turned.
That's right, that's very nice.
Sound that I heard. So we get that sound. If we take the word call and we put ED at the end, we get called.
That's your sound too.
Now there's another sound. If we take the word like and put ED at the end, we get
like. Right. Oh, that's my sound. Oh, I was right.
Okay. Now, if we take the word walk and put ED at the end, we get walked.
Right. You were right and I was right.
But there's another sound. If we take the word wait and put ED at the end,
that makes it, let me see, waited. That's what the puppet said.
Yes,
that's a smart puppet.
No, that's really a smart puppet. And if we take the word and put ED at the end, we get
off. That's rainbows again. Ended. Right.
So you were all right.
We were all right.
You know, we've got to get out of here. We have places to go. Let's go. Goodbye, Mrs. Rainbow. Goodbye.
Letter lady, and the letters have shown us that there are 3 sounds that the letter ED can stand for at the end of the word.
This is a leshy. A leshy is the ruling spirit of the forest. It changes in size and shape, but it always has blue skin and a green beard. It disappears in October and returns in April. It's mostly a nuisance and likes to get people lost in the woods. Thank you, Fred. This is a snollygoster. The snollygoster is an evil monster. It is small but sneaky. It preys on chickens and children. Young man, who are you, sir? Fred, I didn't recognize you. Come here a second. Would you like to hear a few monster riddles here? Okay, I got one for you here in my monster riddle book. What do monsters eat at snack time? You don't know? Things. Like that? Okay, listen to this one. What do monsters drink at snack time? Yeah, Coke. You know why? Because things go better with Coke. What do you do with a green monster like yourself? You wait until it ripens. Who won the Monster Beauty Contest? Nobody. Got one last one for you. What do you call a monster who is 10 feet tall, has 5 arms, and poisoned fingernails? Sir.
The book that I'm going to share this morning is called May I Bring a Friend? It's one of the Caldecott Awards, and I think Mrs. Espy's been talking to you about the Caldecott Award books. As you remember, those are the books that are given an award for the very best pictures. And May I Bring a Friend is one of those fun ones, and I think that you'll enjoy it if you haven't heard it before, and I know you will if you have heard it. The King and Queen invited me to come to their house on Sunday for tea. I told the Queen, and the Queen told the King I had a friend I wanted to bring. The King told the Queen, my dear, any friend of our friend is welcome here. So I brought my friend. You'll be surprised. A giraffe. The King said hello. He said, how do you do? The Queen said, well, fancy meeting you. My friend sat down right next to me. Then everyone had a cup of tea. The King and Queen said, we are having stew on Monday for dinner, and we want you to come. I told the Queen, and the Queen told the King, I had a friend I wanted to bring. The King told the Queen, my dear, any friend of our friend is welcome here. So I brought my friend. Did you ever see such a big hippopotamus? My friend sat down next to the King, and when dinner was over, there wasn't a thing left to eat. The King and Queen sent me a card. Come for lunch on Tuesday. Please try hard to come. So I sent a card. Dear Queen and King, I have a friend I want to bring. The King and Queen sent me a letter. They said, the more friends you bring, the better. So I brought my friends. Can you see all the monkeys? The King said hello, the Queen gave me a kiss, and said, what monkey business is this? Well, as you can imagine, each day the King and Queen invited the little boy and his friends to breakfast, and they sat on the elephant. And then on Thursday, they wanted him to come on Halloween, and we got clear to Saturday. And when they asked him then, the King said hello, and they played with the seal. And he said, the King and Queen invited me to come on Saturday for tea. No, no, my friends want you to instead to come and visit them, I said. So that is why the King and Queen and I and all our friends were seen on Saturday at 2:30 having tea at the city zoo. What friend would you take if you were visiting the King and Queen?
Oh, ooh. Her temperature is not normal. It is supposed to be 98.6. Let me have a look at her wrist. I've got to check her pulse.
How many times is her heart beating?
It should be beating 72 times a minute, but oh, today it's much faster.
Poor Raggedy Ann. She must be very sick. Raggedy Ann, you will get better, I know.
I've got to listen now to her heartbeat through my stethoscope.
Good morning. We were motivated by the Grammy Awards last Saturday night, and even though this group didn't win a Grammy, we thought we'd have the album cover on. A little geometry lesson here. Notice that you see some spaceships flying. If I just turn this album cover over, you see some guitars. So there are some interesting things that people do with geometry.
Welcome back to Winter School. Before we get into our science class, I'd like to tell you a little bit about teachers' responsibilities in the 1800s. You know, they were quite different, and here's some of the things that they, in the early 1870s, that they might have had to do. Teachers each day will fill lamps, clean chimneys, and clean wicks. Each teacher will bring a bucket of water and a scuttle of coal for the day's session. Make your pens, that's right, make your pens carefully. You may whittle nibs for the individual tastes of the pupil. I'll have more of these as the day goes on. Now let's join Mr. Kenry and Mr. Wood for a science class. Today they're playing their TV show on density.
Good morning, Mr. Kenry. You know what? I got all this material out to plan that TV show on density that we have coming up later this week. And now I don't know how to tell the students what density really means.
Well, Mr. Wood, why don't you use me as an example? I overheard two of my students one time saying I was pretty dense.
Oh, come on, be serious. I mean, not mentally dense. I mean the density of a substance.
Oh, well, why don't you just pick any two objects and lift them, and the heavier one would be the denser.
Oh, now just a minute. A big object is going to be heavier, but I don't think that means it's more dense. For example, here's a small object made of iron, and it's much more dense than this big piece of wood.
Well, all right then. To make a fair comparison, you'd have to have objects of equal size.
Right. Hey, catch this piece of iron.
Oh, that's pretty good. It's heavy.
How about this?
Oh, nothing to that. That must be styrofoam.
Well, are they equal sized?
Yes, they're equal size. But this iron one certainly is a lot heavier.
Well, I think if we have two objects of equal size and one is heavier, then the heavier one would be more dense, right?
Okay, yes, I guess that would be right. Density then involves comparing the weights of objects that have equal size.
Oh, hey, that word size bothers me a little bit. Size to me denotes the idea of length or surface area or something like that. And I think what we're really talking about here is the space an object takes up. And that should be called volume.
Now I can make some accurate statements by using this information. The first statement that I can make is this. Segment DA will be parallel to line segment BC since each has a slope of -2. Remembering that if lines have equal slopes, they are parallel. The next statement I can make, line segment AB would be perpendicular to BC since 1/2 times -2 is -1. If the slopes are negative reciprocals of each other, they will be perpendicular. And the third statement that I can make is AB is also perpendicular to DA, since again 1/2 times -2 is -1. Now let's go back to the drawing. We've said that this segment is parallel to this one, and according to our drawing that looks fairly accurate. We've also said that AB is perpendicular to AD, and also AB is perpendicular to BC. Now remember that it's not enough just to look at the drawing. You must actually calculate the slopes and use your numbers to compare. And now it's time for American history. Today's topic is the summary of Western expansion, and your teachers are Mr. Simpson and Mr. Gooden.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today. As you probably know, this is the concluding program of the expansion of the United States into the Western Territories. And in thinking about this program, we wanted to try to bring you something that would tie this expansion together. And we have brought together about an 8.5-minute film that relates to the American expansion onto the Great Plains. Several things we would like for you to pay particular attention to during this film. One of them are the cultural factors that held back the development into the American West. And in addition to that, we would like very much for you to pay particular attention to the topographic factors that held back this expansion, the geography of the region, if you will. We think you'll like the film very much. And now let's swing into the film, American Expansion onto the Prairie.
The earliest explorers of the plains, Lewis and Clark, studied the region and called it the Great American Desert.
Here's a message of importance before we get into our next class. The Ohio State University College of Math and Physical Sciences is holding its annual high school conference Friday, March 18th. Any high school juniors or seniors who are interested in science and math can register by sending their name, school, and $2 to Professor James Morgan, Department of Physics, Ohio State University, Columbus, Ohio, 43210. Now, the original deadline was February 28th, but because of school closings, it's been moved up to the very last minute, so you do have time to register. Now, you need to send your name, school, and $2 to Professor James Morgan, Department of Physics, Ohio State University, Columbus, Ohio, 43210. Take advantage of this. It's a good experience. Now it's time for senior high school grammar and composition. Today your teachers will be Kathy Parks and Marilyn Ridgway. Today Easy checks in with some friends. Easy finds that he cannot escape English even in his dreams, or should I say nightmares.
Hey, Mrs. Parks, Mrs. Ridgway. I know this is probably the last time I ever see you, so I
brought a couple of my chicks with me today. I also want to tell you about this weird dream I had last night. It was strange. Like, I dreamed I was in this operating room. You two were there too. And you had these great big old long knives. There was a paper laying on the table. And you started cutting on it. Then you stopped cutting and you started diagnosing it for further complications. I couldn't hear what you were saying, but all of a sudden the paper jumps up, it's smiling like it was well. You think the dream meant anything?
I don't know, Easy, but I think maybe you better stop eating cold pizza before you go to bed at night. But it was an interesting dream, and we might learn something from it.
And now I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Columbus Public School Board, all the teachers, and the WBNS staff for making winter school such a success, and in particular Jim Moscas, who was ahead of the whole thing. And if it hadn't been for him, we wouldn't have been able to pull it off. So I hope that you have enjoyed winter school, have benefited from it. And one last message of importance. If you are interested in fun in Ohio and you'd like snow conditions, if there are going to be any, at Ohio's 7 ski resorts, call Info Ohio. If you want to visit a museum, a recreational or historic place, call Info Ohio. You'll find a lot to do in Ohio, and the toll-free number is 1-800-282-0250. Once again, that wraps it up for winter school. Thank you for joining us. Schoolies will be back on at 7:30 Monday morning.
It was an innovative, challenging exercise in working together. School officials hailed the program as a great success, and the 3 television networks, as well as every major print media, covered the School Without Schools story. We may never know how successful School Without Schools was from a classroom point of view, but subsequent research by the Chamber of Commerce here tells us that the program had a much greater success than we could have imagined at the time. School Without Schools helped unite the community, for the people of Columbus saw that when they had to, they could pull together and turn even the worst of circumstances into an asset. We are proud to have been the catalyst. I'm Lou Forrest for Eyewitness News.